Aloha everyone, it's Levy, your friendly neighborhood Hesher, and welcome to the Hesh Files, a place where I interview musicians about all of the strange and unusual things that they see out on the road. So strap on your best high tops, ease the seat back, and get ready to be a metaphorical fly on the wall because we're going Heshing. Aloha everyone, it's Levy, your friendly neighborhood Hesher, and welcome back to the Hesh Files, a place for us to get weird and seek out some strange. Today's guest is none other than the mysterious Spooky from Spellgrinder out in 29 Palms. Spooky, give us an aloha and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Aloha. Yeah, man. My name is Spooky. I am in Spellgrinder, which is the greatest heavy metal band in the history of 29 Palms ever.
I can vouch for that. They are. I've heard all of them.
There are a couple more bands, and I feel shitty saying this, but they know it. You know? It's almost shittier to not recognize our excellence out here specifically,
Okay.
But we are worldwide. So
wow.
Yeah.
With Spellgrinder now, how has Spellgrinder been on tour?
No, Spellgrinder has played a handful of local shows. We've gone slightly out of the area, but didn't stay the night. We came home afterwards.
Yeah.
Furthest right now is down the hill, Palm Springs area. Spellgrinder started being a band in 2020.
Okay.
And so if there's any 4-year-olds or 3-year-olds listening to the podcast, touring wasn't really an option unless you were just I don't know. It wasn't an option.
Yeah, at that point in time, it was pretty hard for anyone to do any touring.
Well, yeah, and we still feel the pains to this day where many things have changed. Some things haven't changed, but they've been revealed through this, We'll get into it more later because I don't want to talk too much shit at the head of the show. Touring's a rough deal. So no, Spellgrinder hasn't done it. I did enough touring in my life that I know when to hold them and when to fold them as far as I got to a certain point where when I'm touring, it's because I was a hired gun and I'm paid good money to go and play someone else's material on the road with a high level of professionalism, good performance, consistency, and other fun variables that are very big deciding factors in you being hired as a hired gun, like hygiene.
Yeah.
How agreeable are you? I'm a very contrary dude, but I know how to turn that off and just, do the work and take pride in the professionalism. But that was most of my gnarly touring was, it's still not comfortable. But before that, I would do just you're on the road for 3 weeks, floors, couches, that shit.
Yeah.
I'm 42 years old now. No.
Yeah.
I ain't living that life. Hired gun stuff. Yeah, I still take gigs.
Sure.
And this is why I don't talk shit about certain things. Certain things I won't get specific about the artist because it was just a gig.
Of course.
I don't want someone to look it up and be like, this shit's fucking lame. Yeah. And that, it was lame with money. It sucks to say that most of the guys in your favorite bands weren't born when their first 10 albums came out.
Yeah.
They don't like the shit they're playing now, and it's a rough life, and it's cool. I'm thankful to be hired. I love the life, but it's intense. It's a fun life, but in my 30s, I was more in the gun for hire. In my 20s, I was completely fucking insane. By the time I got to my 30s, I had mellowed a bit. I'd gotten smarter. I'd gotten more talented. And I was living in LA in my 30s. So it was a centralized hub to where, when you're playing in your club bands, the clubs there, if you play it right, that is a big stage. That is a big podium.
Absolutely.
And then off of that, I would just start getting snatched up by people that were in a bind.
Okay.
And that's always where I would kick the most ass is if you're fucked, I'm your guy. I can learn all your songs overnight. I will, I'm easy to get along with. I smell good.
That's always a plus.
For the most part. I am slightly insane, but not when I'm being pro. Okay.
Of course.
But yeah, I got a lot of just I was a headhunter. I'm a replacement guy, just a gun for hire. Pirates, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a pirate, even though I have a dangly earring. I've had a dangly earring for over 20 years, but I'm a cowboy.
Okay. Okay.
I'm an outlaw, baby.
I mean, cowboys and pirates are pretty similar. One's just on land, one's in the water.
Yeah.
They're pretty close at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
So I've always maintained the danger, but then also try to make it so you can find that balance. You can maintain your danger, but you could also reach for that professionalism so that you
Right,
can
right.
yours.
Earlier you said that, for privacy's sake, I guess you couldn't mention some of, or didn't want to mention some of the artists and stuff. What were some of your favorite tours? Like who can you talk about that you had a really good time out on the road with?
Man, okay. Well, when you were presenting the first part of the question, immediately that popped into my mind was 2012.
Okay.
I had these like really dangerous bands in LA. I had a band called the GT350s.
Okay.
We were bad little motherfuckers. Like all the guys in my band lived in a one-room apartment. And they all lived around the block from me over by like Dodger Stadium.
Okay. Okay.
I lived right behind the shortstop, the short slop. And
Nice.
so we were all just like, they were all like 6 years younger than me. They were like 24. I was like 30 presenting as 24 because everyone thought they were older than me. They lived earlier than me.
Yeah.
I was pretty, and
You're still pretty.
I appreciate that. But man, I used to look insane. I've filled out, like now I weigh like 134. I used to weigh less. And I'm like
Yeah.
5'11", 5'10". So it was a skinny dude,
Yeah.
You didn't eat food when you were that dangerous. You could spend it on other things. Yeah, we were playing a gig one night and we were a dangerous fucking band. I was wearing like a white jumpsuit.
Okay.
It was a crazy night. We were playing with I think the band was Turbo Negro was like supposed to be there.
No shit.
Yeah, they got added on last minute, but everyone thought that I was in that band, and so I was getting sworn, but I'm not in that band. I was in the GT350, and I got scouted that night by a guy who he was in the opening band on a Ted Nugent tour.
Wow. That's
And
not
the band
small.
was called Laura Wild, and she was like, I mean, she still is Australian gal. Like it was kind of like she would wear like all leather and stuff, and had
Okay.
straight hair and gauntlets and like
It's badass.
mirror V and all that kind of stuff. But it was kind of mall rock too.
Okay. Okay.
The people that I got to like work with through that is insane. Like Michelangelo Badio, like the guy that plays like the four-neck guitar.
Wow. Yeah.
That guy, I got to play with him, which was insane.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I'm not a virtuoso. I'm not into virtuosity. I can get around, but like I like different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you're just like sweeping, that makes my pee-pee soft. I'm sorry. Like I don't like that shit. So I played that gig. That gig, there was like 5 things that happened that night that are so off color, so bad. Like I can't even talk about it because I'm married and I'm trying to have class, but still I go and allude to it, right? But
Sure.
But yeah, some gnarly shit happened that night. And then the drummer for that band, he comes, says, "Hey, I got hired by this band. They're touring with Ted Nugent. They are doing a US tour right now. And they just had to fire the guitar player.
Yeah.
And they're going back out on the road in 3 days. And they are just like holding aggressive auditions. Are you into it?" And I was like, with the Nuge, I'm into it. And he gave my contact information to their manager, who was Laura's mom. They try to obscure that, stage names and stuff. That's a lot of times, a lot of reasons we have stage names is like, I mean, is it to look cool? I don't think it's that cool. I think it's more like you're trying to save your family embarrassment,
Yeah. Yeah, that could definitely be a part of it. Don't know my family name. You can't look them up. I'm not bringing shame to them.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, you go and Google my real name. I'm all over the place. I've had a whole life under my real name. I don't want that to have anything to do with Spellgrinder. Spellgrinder is a completely separate, conceptualized art project.
It's its own monster.
Yeah. I got home that night. There was an email from the manager with MP3s of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And a time for the audition, which was like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. the next day at Cascade Studios. Keep in mind, like, rock and roll scumbag didn't have a car.
Oh,
I worked full time, but I rode the bus.
yeah.
I wake up the next day. So I got that email. I didn't go to bed. I made charts for all the songs and I made sure I knew all the songs. And it
Oh,
was like
yeah.
8 or 9 songs. So I learned all the songs performance level because I knew I was going to feel like shit in the morning.
Damn.
So while
Yeah.
my synapses were going, I was just like trying to learn everything I could do. Went to bed, had about like 5 hours of sleep, woke up feeling like shit.
Yikes.
And then I put my guitar and my pedal board in their cases, and I walked down, caught the bus, took it down to Cascade Studios, and there was a line of dudes, like
Damn.
a bunch of like MI,
Yeah.
dyed black hair, cut off dudes, and
Hmm.
I was a straight up fucking haircut back then. I looked like Keith Richards. I had that rooster like Rod Stewart cut. Like I fucking owned that shit for fucking years. Like,
Oh, yeah. I had the same haircut for most of my 20s.
yeah, it's a good haircut.
It's a good haircut. It's great.
The ladies didn't hate it. People's moms didn't fucking hate it. So,
Yeah.
so I got there the next day. I roll up, mask my symptoms of not feeling great, and I gave all those songs performance fucking level. Striking poses, power stance, just kicking some fucking asses,
Hell
and
yeah.
knowing every song.
That's
You
the
know,
important part.
then like whenever they did, and I took some chances, they would throw me a solo. I might engage my wah. They'd be like, let's not do that. Okay. Just stuff like that. Like in the production, like there'd be like a chorus effect on a
Yeah.
part. I'd kick on a chorus pedal. They'd be like, oh, I don't know about that, because they were young and inexperienced, and
Hmm.
chorus is very scary to some people. Chorus
Yeah.
is I love chorus. I don't want it on all the time, but I love production. I love being able to offer album production to live settings.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so yeah, just working that out, but working it out in real time, being agreeable. Also looking at what the band looked like ahead of times and just knowing the assignment. Now I went home, no, I went out and I just remember like there's a bunch of guys and just remember thinking like, sorry, motherfuckers. But getting the gig later that day, just getting the call, just being like out of my mind happy. And also my stepdad, touring session musician from back in like the late 60s, 70s,
Okay.
and 80s. The guy's done everything. He did uncredited Rick James sessions. He
What?
was, yeah, like he used to hang out with Deep Purple and Elf
Hell
and all
yeah.
that. He's legit. I'm just some fucking guy. But like he did some rad shit. He was there. And so it was really awesome to get that tour while he's there. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going out on a fucking Nugent tour.
Hell
And
yeah.
I had to work it out with my job. I'm just like, yo, I'm gonna be gone for like 7 weeks. Sorry.
Sorry.
And they were cool. Fact though, they worked with me as long as I got my shifts covered.
Hmm.
But the fact that I was that guy, it put a glass ceiling on how far I could go at that job.
Oh, of course. Of course.
I was managing things, but without the stability I wanted in the job because I was a little bit of a liability because I had
You had
things I
other,
had to do.
yeah. So with that Nugent tour, you said it. So you said it was 7 weeks. I mean, was that full US? I mean, coast to coast. How was that tour?
It was coast to coast. I joined not at the very beginning. So they had done a lot of West Coast.
Okay.
And when I came on, I did a West Coast, but then we started flew straight to Brunswick, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
I didn't like being on a plane, but I knew I wasn't going to crash because Kenny G was in the front row, and I knew that Kenny G wasn't going to die.
What? I mean, that's a pretty good barometer.
Yeah, I always thought I was going to die. Well, like when I was 27, I didn't fly, but I did other things when I was 27 that I was lucky to make it through. But like,
Sure.
I was a hot enough guitar player. I knew like stay out of helicopters, and I still had a little bit of that superstition at a certain point, but I knew that Kenny G wasn't going nowhere. So we landed there. The cool thing was that when I went to baggage claim to get my pedal board, it had been ran over by a fucking vehicle. So all my pedals were destroyed. That was first
Jesus
for the first night of the tour. Another fun thing is that like they're like, so what gear are you playing? And I was a Fender dude at the time. I was doing a Strat,
okay,
doing an Esquire, like which is a Fender Telly with just a bridge.
Yeah.
A twin machine. And I was playing on like a 75 twin reverb. I was very very American sounding.
Oh yeah.
They were like, well, we're a Les Paul Marshall band. Can you get
Okay.
a Les Paul? And you can borrow an amp from us, but can you get a Les Paul? I said, oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I can totally just go buy a Les Paul.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was like, bullshit. Gotta bullshit. Like, always bullshit until you can't bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, try to make your bed so you don't have to bullshit, but like, you gotta be good at bullshitting, and then be good at like following your shit up. Like,
Yeah.
everything about live music and art, it's all a con. And in order to be able to keep up so you can even participate in the con, you have to be a con artist.
Yeah.
And so called up, I think I put out like an APB or some shit on like Facebook, which I had like just joined because I was a late bloomer. And my friend Connor, who was the guitar player for an LA glam band called Hammered Satin.
Okay.
Which I had been in that band for a handful of gigs. Got fired / quit. Good guys. But that he let me borrow a 70s Les Paul Custom.
Damn.
It's like, my man, I was so stoked on it. Now, this Les Paul Custom had tuning issues, and it also had a Bixby tailpiece.
Okay.
And when you're touring the East Coast, the Midwest, and the South during the fucking summer, there's like this fluctuation in temperature and humidity. And immediately I realized that I was living in a fucking nightmare because like I was breaking strings nightly. I was just being pro. You got to know every millisecond in your set.
Yeah.
You can step on your tuner and like kind of like write the, I had a couple passages that I had to like play like a clean part on. If you're out of tune on that,
oh yeah, you're fucked.
My fucking God, you're playing for 50,000 people, which
Ugh.
not always, but 50,000 people out of fucking tune. It's a nightmare.
Oh God, yeah.
You got 15,000 people going.
That's not a good face.
You're not in the misfits. You're in a normal, and there people are less forgiving. So yeah, just knowing the set, but then knowing that this instrument, it's going to kill me. And I remember my dad called me, and my dad, I was living in California. My dad was living in Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is where Iggy Pop is from.
Wow.
And my dad called me up. He's like, how's the tour going? I'm excited to see you at I was going to be playing in Maumee, Ohio, at something called the Rib Fest. So I'm excited to see you. I was like, oh, it's great. It's an adult dose. Like, the one thing that I'm kind of having a hard time with is that my guitar's letting me down. Like, I borrowed a guitar, and I'm very lucky to have borrowed it, but this thing is like, I'm losing sleep over it. And, I'm changing strings daily.
Yeah.
Like, after the gig, I'm changing strings and stretching them out. I'm just hanging out with my guitar, just, also, like, Ted Nugent's roadies really took me under their wing. And they're like, let me get you some tuners. I have like an endorsement deal with Derek St. Holmes. Derek St. Holmes was on that tour, the singer for like on the original Nudes records.
Oh, wow.
He had an endorsement deal. So he was getting me tuners for it. It's like, awesome, But I told my dad, like, yeah, I'm having a hard time. He's like, I want to buy you a guitar. At that point in my life, no one had ever bought me a guitar. When I was a kid, I dropped out of school early. I got a job. I mean, like, I finished high school. I dropped out of middle school early.
Damn.
I dropped out of 8th grade early, and I moved up to Oregon. I dropped out. I was living with my dad in Southern California. He allowed me to drop out a little early because he had some shit come up and he wasn't gonna be able to like get me from A to B. So I was like, you can drop out. You're doing good. Cool.
Nice.
But then I moved up to Oregon. Instead of enrolling back in school, I got a job at the fairgrounds. And with that job, I bought my first guitar in the first year, right?
Hell yeah.
Always bought my own guitars, always bought my own amps. No one ever bought me shit. The first time anyone ever bought me music gear was my dad buying me that guitar. And it
That's
was
amazing.
Like, so yeah, we went to like Guitar Center, found a Gibson SG. Price was right. It was like $1,100. There it is. And I got myself an SG, and that was my fucking baby for the rest of the tour. Like, still having to change strings daily just because I was traumatized,
Yeah.
That was very exciting. The fucking gear situation. Being that loud was exciting because I'd only been playing clubs.
Right.
And I had like things I wanted to do in life was I wanted to write good songs. At that point, I'd done it. I hadn't made really good records at the time. I'd done some session work.
Okay.
It was okay. Like my playing was fucking phenomenal. The shit I was playing on, fucking garbage. And I want to do some huge Mondo shit now. I want to know what it's like to do things on a certain scale. I want to challenge myself to get to a more professional level because life is scary.
Yeah, exactly.
You can work yourself into a corner sometimes. So it is validating to get those kind of gigs, you know? So the most fun thing about that whole tour for me was no one else really partied on there.
Okay.
And I was a maniac. And Ted Nugent is famously sober.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take any fucking shit on the tour. And so really I had to behave, you know, and I couldn't be like trying to score pot from people.
Yeah.
So,
at least not obviously
about stuff, you know, and I was trying to be a good boy, but his drummer on that tour, Mick Brown from Dokken.
Wow, well, that's cool.
Yeah, and so Mick Brown from Dokken, he had gotten in big trouble right before I joined the tour because he had gotten like partied out. And like when you're like at these events, there's always like golf carts so that people can go from hither to tither.
Yeah.
Mick Brown had inebriatedly, according to every fucking story I've heard and from him, he had commandeered a golf cart and wrecked the fucking thing. I think he like rolled it on its side. He did it good and proper. Like, love that guy. And good on him. So he was on probation for the rest of the fucking tour. I joined the tour. You know, my buddy who was the drummer that got me on.
Yeah.
We were just like bros, but he was a vegan and he was sober. Two things that I am the fucking polar opposite of. You know? I mean, not that I'm just like a fucking carnivore, but I used to eat for fucking survival. Like you go like, give me a booger, like at a certain time of day, like I'll have to because I'm about to die. You know, like
I need something in my body.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what.
On tour is hard. Having
it is.
People that agree where to go is hard. Like when you're touring, like we go Ramon style, we go to a lot of fucking Cracker Barrels.
Exactly.
We went to more Waffle Houses than that. Waffle Houses are just like
Waffle House is the best.
Always open. You know, like when they're trying to get us to eat at gas stations and shit. So I'm getting like a fucking bear claw and like some fucking like piece of pizza that some pizza shaped entity. That's how I'm living my life. I chose that lifestyle, but it was really difficult for my man, and he ended up getting real sick. He was sick when we played Rib Fest for 50,000 people.
Shit.
My dad is in a sea of 50,000 people. I'm on this big fucking stage. When you show up to this thing, like they're like, hey, welcome. Thank you for playing this. This is awesome. Here's some free tickets. You guys can go and check out all the ribs that all the vendors are, because it's Rib Fest.
Hell yeah.
All these different ribs.
That sounds incredible.
Oh, it's incredible because like you rely on craft services when you're doing this shit. Like that's the cool thing about that life is like most of the gigs we were playing were like in a House of Blues and stuff. And you get really great food at the House of Blues.
Oh yeah.
We'd be playing like at these weird clubs, but like Ted Nugent would be supplying the fucking bison that you're eating. Like you're eating huge shot bison. And it was amazing. But like sometimes the nerves would like have something to say about that, and you would have to find a bathroom. I destroyed the bathroom right before we played, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because I was having some nerves, but also the ribs were just like getting under me, you know? And I remember that didn't make me very popular with the band.
Okay.
It was just like, I'm sorry, I don't feel good. But you remember Chappelle's show where he's talking about the itis, you know, you eat ribs and it makes you very sleepy. And I played gigs on acid, I played gigs on mushrooms, I played gigs on cocaine, I played gigs on alcohol, weed, any combination. The hardest I ever had to deal with playing under the influence of something was playing under the influence of ribs. Like I was out of my mind on ribs. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like there's the stress and like the bathroom thing. All right, I'm getting it together. I'm like, all right, fine. At least get out on stage. So my drummer friend, he was really sick from the vegan stuff and just
Yeah.
life on the road. It demolishes you. You touch a lot of people.
Hmm.
You have a lot of breath coming at you, and you're compromising your immune system by just living not righteously.
Yeah, just by everything that is tour. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not exactly a sterile immune supporting environment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Ramones toured a lot. How many of them are still alive?
Good
So,
question.
so it's rough on you. There's a lot of carcinogens. I get out there. I remember like Morgan missed his first cue on the drums, and we made it happen. We made it work. It wasn't identifiable that there was like a flub, but like you start counting. You start like, oh my God, I'm fucking this up. This is a nightmare. My dad's here. There's a lot of people. Oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm woozy. I'm dizzy. What song is next? Am I in tune? And
Oh,
then you turn and I'm on a fucking Jumbotron. I'd never been on a Jumbotron before. And
wow.
that's crossing off a box. I always wanted to be rocking out, peeling solos on a Jumbotron.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Uh, in front of my dad. That was always part of the dream too for some fucking reason. You got
Yeah.
to dream big, right? So
Hell
this
yeah.
is all happening, but it's nightmarish. And yeah, but it was awesome. We did good for the show,
Hmm.
played the show afterwards, tracked down my dad. He's like, boy, I've never been so proud. Like he was tearing up. I was
Oh,
and then some guy was like, hey, you think you're better than me because you're in a band? I was like, no, I think I'm better than you because I am. And like,
yeah.
like, I'm a rough character. And it freaked my dad out because he's not that big.
Yeah.
He got me into punk, and he really encouraged all of my gnarlier tendencies,
Hmm.
but he's a straight shooter.
Okay.
He's just a lover of rock and roll. And oh, okay, I got two dads I'm going to talk about. Okay, I got my stepdad. That's the one that was doing all the touring and session stuff.
Yes.
My biological dad, he's just a dude that knows music really well.
Yeah.
So between the two of them, I had some bad influences. I had some good influences, but I only took the bad out of both influences.
Yeah, you took
Yeah,
your
so
favorite parts.
that was excellent. And then, yeah, like then that night went on to encapsulate other crazy acts that won't even talk about. But you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
It's an adult dose. And then the next day you go, you go
Yeah.
smell
On to the
some
next
guy's
thing.
fucking feet until you get to the next venue. Then you hurry up and wait.
Exactly. Well, Spooky, what's next on the musical horizon? What's Spellgrinder got going on coming out next?
Well, we have released two albums. First album came out a year ago. Our second album came out on July 4th. Brand new album. It kicks ass. Our first album kicks ass. Our second album takes that first album, and the first album does what an album should. It is a complete fucking statement. It is a mission statement. It's a great piece of work. The second album has to be a statement that's like it, but it takes it to a different place, to a different level. And I'm proud as shit of the first album. I'm proud as fuck of the second album. And
Hell yeah.
we have been releasing music video
I've been
to
watching those.
and tour the world because touring's great.
Yeah.
Touring is not reliable. Touring costs you money. At this phase in my life, I own everything about Spellgrinder. Like
Perfect.
really, and like, metaphorically, like I own it. It's mine.
It's your
If
baby.
if some guy gets his fucking, boyfriend pregnant and they gotta leave the band, it's fine. The band goes on because it's not like a collective, like it's
Right.
my fucking band.
Yeah.
And so that's given us the keys to longevity. I have great long-term members. My guy Stone, solid, long-time member. He's been in it for years. My wife Nephthys, she's the go-go dancer of the band.
Yes.
And we go through drummers like fucking Spinal Tap. One thing that we do, so because I do want to connect with as many people as possible to sell as many of our albums, as many of our t-shirts, bumper
Absolutely.
stickers. I want people to love my fucking band. I want people to find out about my band and appreciate it like I appreciate things I like.
Right.
When I saw things, I wasn't necessarily getting into bands that tour. When I got into the Sex Pistols, they weren't playing. When I got into
True.
Led Zeppelin, they weren't playing. When I got into the Misfits, they were playing, but I wasn't going to see that fucking version of Misfits. Like, I like live music, but there are a lot of people, their interest in music has to do with, well, are you plainly black?
Right.
My favorite fucking bands were like, after 1966, the Beatles are like, yeah, no, we're gonna make albums, but we're not fucking touring. Like, you know, Brian Wilson, they're still making Beach Boys albums, but Brian Wilson's like, no, you go tour with some other asshole on fucking bass. I'm staying home. And like,
Yeah.
that's real. Like, it's a rough thing. Like when the Zombies broke up, 3 other bands called the Zombies, set up by the record label, so they can go out and tour as the Zombies. Like, it is a means to an end. But if the money's not right,
It's just not worth it.
well, if your ego needs that, if you want that experience, because everyone should have the experience.
Oh yeah.
There's so much experience out there. If you're looking for things to write about, if you're looking for reasons to stay home in your old age and not feel bad about it, fucking tour.
Hell yeah.
And at this phase, my music videos are touring for Spellgrinder because I got a diabetic dog. I got a lot of chores. I'm in my 40s. I don't want to work that hard just so I can go forward. Like, the band is actually, I mean, this is a little behind the curtain.
Okay.
But
let's get back there.
Bands cost money. I produce and record everything the band does. This is my studio here. So there you go. It's Michael Myers in the Jason mask.
I see it. I like it.
Oh yeah, no one can see what's behind me anyway, so I don't even have to talk about it.
I can see it.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm just painting a picture for my more imaginative listeners. Whatever you're imagining behind me, it's not that. He's not, you know, it looks like Lemmy's apartment. No. So I have made more money off the band than I've spent on the band.
That's great.
That's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta, and the way that I like to present professionally, like what I like about bands is not like, oh my God, it sounds like it's recorded on a fucking Tascam and these people are butt fucking ugly. And, you know, like, I don't like that. I like shit that's professional.
Right. Stuff that's got some production behind it.
In my life, I've had to figure out how to be all those pieces together. And that all goes into how I present Spellgrinder. So we film, I direct our videos, I edit our videos, I write all that kind of stuff. I write all the music, I do all that, every piece of the production, except I don't mix and master our shit, because as far as mixing and mastering goes, I'm just okay. I'm not interested in Spellgrinder being just okay.
Right.
Everything else I'm fucking dope at, but mixing and mastering, I'm just okay. It's going to end up sounding like the Kinks. I don't want Spellgrinder to sound like the Kinks.
No.
That's my other identity. Spellgrinder ain't the Kinks. Spellgrinder, very stylized, horror themed, heavy metal. Sounds like 80s heavy metal, you know.
It definitely does.
Yeah, go check out our music videos, because they're touring the world right now on our YouTube channel, which is also touring the fucking world.
Appreciate it. Well, speaking of the YouTube and stuff, give us the link. How does everybody find you? How does everybody get in touch with you? And most importantly, how can they book you for birthday parties and quinceañeras?
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. Well, my band is called Spellgrinder. It's one word. Spellgrinder. It's like a wizard dating app. Wizard on wizard.
I love it.
Of Spellgrinder, but one word. And on all socials at Spellgrinder. On YouTube, I think we're like at Spellgrinder 666. If you guys have halfway decent IT skills, Spellgrinder is not obscure. If you Google us, you're going to see 8 pages of Spellgrinder. I'm very proud of our SEO, our search engine optimization.
Yep.
Had to bust a lot of butt, had to, you know, suck a lot of algorithm dick to get on that level. And we're happy for it. That right there is your best way to experience us. On YouTube, you can watch all of our music videos, as well as some live clips. If you go on our Instagram or our Facebook, you can see hot fucking pictures of us. Like, I'm a scallywag. My wife is a babe. So that's sugar that helped the medicine go down. Like,
scallywag and the babe.
Yeah, the scallywag. Yeah, Beauty and the Bitch. You know, so
great.
Sorry, I like off-color shit. It's my sense of humor.
I'm here for it.
When I say this ruthless shit, but the audience they're gonna need context. So if you see me, you would know this is actually hilarious. So, yeah, Yeah. Yeah, it's a rough world. Go check that out. If you want to see how fucking wasteful but professional I can be, we have a website. It's called cryptofspellgrinder.com.
That's a
Crypt of
great website.
Spellgrinder.
That's a great website name,
Thank you. It's long as fuck. So
but it's
like
great.
you have the opportunity to misspell it. But it's when I was making the second album, I wanted to just hit one more like touch point of professionalism. My wife had suggested it. I still didn't understand why it had anything to do with me. Like, because everyone goes to like fucking MySpace, weird fuck.
God,
No one's
rip
going to your
MySpace.
goddamn
I miss you,
website,
MySpace.
but yeah, but you know, I made one just to cover the base, and now it fucking exists. But it's pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
If someone wants to see it, all of our music videos are on there, so it's a good opportunity to see like a cross section of how rad we look, sound, and present ourselves. A lot of skin, a lot of tattoos, pointy guitars.
The best.
High gain.
I mean, I can vouch for the videos. I've watched them. They're incredible. Everybody that's listening definitely needs to go watch them for some good old-fashioned horror heavy metal. Well, Spooky, that was one hell of a wild ride.
My man.
Thank you for sitting down with me today. This was incredible. It was eye-opening. And now I'm really craving some ribs all of a sudden.
Ribs! Yeah, just like, you know, call in sick afterwards because it's an adult dose, ribs.
Damn, yeah, I might have to find myself at Bloodso's barbecue this afternoon because that sounds fire right now.
Yeah, if they're not a sponsor, they need to be. Bloodso's, chip in.
Hell yeah. All right, well, there you have it, folks. That was Spooky. Stay tuned for more strange and unusual tales from tour. Thanks for listening to the Hesh Files. Catch you on the flip side.